What's going on, guys? So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 8BitDo Ultimate 3-mode controller for the Xbox. And hey, by the way, did you see that right there? Wireless for the Xbox? I don't know why I would be saying that right now. But in any case, I want to talk to you guys about this $90 controller that is wireless for the Xbox. You can hook up your dock station or the 2.4 dongle that comes with it to your Xbox, and boom, you're wireless. For transparency reasons, 8BitDo did send this out to me. I reached out to them actually about this controller because I had a few people in some of my other comments and some of my other videos actually asked me if I was going to be doing a video on this controller, and I was like, well, let's see. I mean, see if they want to send it to me. And they were quick to hop on that, so appreciate that, 8Bit. They're not seeing a video. They didn't tell me what to say or anything like that. Just said, here, do the video whenever you want. Appreciate you. So let's get into the video. Well, let's talk about the unboxing real quick in this. So you do get the controller itself, of course. You do get a nice dock station with this controller that does come with a USB-C plug on the back of it. You can plug this right to your PC or Xbox, and you do get a 2.4 dongle with it and a nice blue cable that also comes with it as well. It's nothing special or anything like that. It's not threaded or anything super special, but it does match the color and accent of this controller, so that is nice to see. And you do get 2 extra caps to put over the Xbox thumbsticks. These are Xbox, by the way, just throwing it out there now. The control freaks for the Xbox fit this controller, not PlayStation 5 that you see on a lot of like GameStop controllers and stuff like that. They went ahead and put the Xbox sticks on here. They're the closest anyways. It still was a little tight getting on there, but I think PlayStation 5 would be a little loose, so take it for what it's worth. The last thing you get in the box itself is this is an Xbox official box, or Xbox official controller, third-party controller. So you are going to get the 1 month of Game Pass free. I just flashed that code on there for you to see and have to go back and pause to get that code. Let me know in the comments below that I'm a douchebag for doing that and that you got the code. That would be nice for the people, or don't, because people would probably go use it anyways, and then somebody can go in the comments and be like, the douchebag didn't tell me they got the code, so I went and did all that work for nothing. Moving on. Let's just talk about the overall look at the controller real quick here and the design and everything of it. I do like the color of the controller itself. It is a nice blue. It's got like a 2 accent blue color going on there with the design and stuff on it, as well as like a yellow accent color that are around the controller, like around the joysticks, the bumpers and triggers, and the back bumpers or back buttons on here itself. It does have a little gold there right here. You know, it's the only piece of gold on the controller. It's kind of like stands out almost like a sore thumb in my opinion. I don't know if I would have probably did gold there. I think they were trying to go with a yellow, kind of like what's there, but they kind of failed miserably there in my opinion because it looks gold. So I don't know if that's supposed to be like that or not, but it doesn't match anything else on the controller, so take that for what it's worth. The controller itself, now this is going to be from 8BitDo, and they're known for like their Pro Switch controllers and stuff like that, and that's exactly what you're going to get here with the body itself. It is a square-like body. It's not going to be more or less your Xbox traditional controllers where you would hold it and you got the grips that curve out a little bit. Ergonomically speaking, personally for me, I got another GameStop controller sitting here. It just feels better to me holding like a traditional Xbox, just because my wrists, it just feels like they kind of do, I don't know. They feel better to me versus this. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with this, and I don't have any issues playing with this. But when I'm sitting like this, I'd rather my wrist kind of curve out a little bit to where it's holding it. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just a little bit more of a comfortable feel on the controller itself versus the square body. Again, it's more or less preference at that point, because I think a lot of people love this design of this controller, and maybe you're an Xbox player and you're going to want to stick with that, and maybe this is a deal breaker for you. Let me know in the comments below what you prefer, or if it doesn't even freaking matter to you. I'm just over here talking for nothing. The other thing I like to mention about here, comfort wise, is the triggers themselves. I do like them as in comfort wise, because my fingers, 8BitDo does this a lot where they curve out that trigger, and so your finger just has a nice little place to rest when you're gaming. Definitely like that. So it's something that 8BitDo does a lot. 8BitDo or 8BitDo? Let me know in the comments below, because I know both of you, there's 2 types of people out here. They're gonna say 8BitDo and 8BitDo. I'm both of them, and I'll probably say them different ways in different videos. Tomato, tomato. Moving on. And while we're talking about the triggers and stuff, the bumpers on here as well, they are the traditional 8BitDo bumpers. They're square and big and fat, and they got like a nice little clicky sound to them, so you can kind of hear it and what they sound like and stuff. And they do sound different. This is the right bumper, and this is the left bumper. And I've never gotten that. Like so many controllers do that, and I'm always like, why do they sound different? Like what is different in the controller from the right to the left today make a different hollow sound to it? I don't know. It's weird. It freaks me out. Moving on. The other thing I will mention about triggers and stuff is there is no trigger stops on this controller at all. There's nothing like that. These are Hall effect triggers, by the way, so you do get the Hall effects in here as well as the joysticks themselves. But we're gonna get to that in a little bit later on, like what I think about that and if that's something that should have been added to this controller or not. So we'll keep that, and I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself. Since we're talking about joysticks and we just mentioned the Hall effect sticks as well, I do want to mention that they do have the anti-friction rings on them as well that go around with that little yellow accent color, and they super smooth. And the reason why they're super smooth is because they went ahead and added the metal to the joysticks themselves. Metal on the plastic, with especially these anti-friction rings that are like glossy yellow, are going to be super smooth. Now let's talk about connectivity wise on this controller for a second. No surprise, it is an Xbox official controller. We've been talking about that entire video. It is also a PC controller. You can use this wireless or wired on the PC as well, and you can use this Bluetooth on pretty much any Bluetooth device out there as well. So take that for what it's worth. We'll do a test on what the pooling rate is. So one thing I do want to mention that was kind of weird about this controller, if I'm being honest, is on the back of it you do have the switch where you can switch between what you're going to connect it to and stuff. For wireless Xbox, you have to be on the dongle. It just confused me a little bit because if you look at the pictures, it says PC. And in the middle, it says Xbox. But if you look closely, it's a little wired connection. So if you want to play an Xbox wired, you would need to go to the middle. If you want to play with the dongle, you need to go all the way over to where it says PC, the 2.4 symbol. Then that's you'll know you're connected. So I just want to throw that out there real quick, just so we understood each other there moving forward, that was kind of dumb. But moving on, you do get the charging dock that we kind of talked about. The charging dock itself, it does have a light underneath it here, and well, it does light up different colors as it's charging and stuff, and it does turn white once it's fully charged, and I think eventually it just cuts off completely. There's no light on it at all, and you'll know it's fully charged. So just keep that for what it's worth. It is a nice charging station, and it does fall in place when I take it and just kind of throw it in there. I don't have to really worry about hey, I don't have to really worry about it falling down and stuff like that. So it's nice. Moving on. Well, let's talk about the front of the controller and some of the buttons on the front of the controller real quick here. The D-pad, will start there. The D-pad feels pretty good. It is an 8BitDo D-pad. They're usually pretty known pretty well for their D-pads. I think in the coming out, more recently, I have grown to really like the dome D-pads. I used to be a cross D-pad, and to be completely honest with you, I'm more of a dome D-pad guy now. That's on a pivot, 8-pivot rocker. That's clicky sounding. That's just me personally. I know some of them are a little too sensitive and kind of be bad for fighting games and stuff like that, but I don't typically use them for that. So I will say though, with the color, the gold of the color here and stuff, you can kind of see it's just a lot more noticeable. I mean, most of your D-pads are on 8BitDo are a little bit movable. You can kind of see. I feel like the gold against the blue just makes it more noticeable to move around and stuff like that. I think the D-pad still works fine, and I feel like it very well under my hands, under my thumb itself, but it is definitely noticeable at moving around and stuff. I went and grabbed a couple of my other 8BitDo D-pads, and they all pretty much are the same. They move around and feel about the same. The XYBA buttons on the controller itself as well, they're membrane as well. There's nothing special about them. The actuation on them doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel, they're pretty good actuation wise for membrane, but it's not tactile. So take that for what it's worth. If you're more of a tactile button player, I'm starting to mention things that might be kind of steering you away from this controller. Unless you already use a normal Xbox wireless controller, then you wouldn't care about all these things. Moving on. Okay, so 8BitDo also did add Star to this controller as well. And you're like, I've never used an 8BitDo. What is that? I don't know. Is it going to give me hacks for Call of Duty or Battlefield 6? No. What it does is it switches your buttons around. So if you want to have like A where B is and stuff like that for Nintendo Switch layout, you can just hit this button and it turns them on, and you can kind of do that right there on the fly. You can also do this in the app itself as well, where you can set the buttons up permanently, as well as there is 3 profiles you can set up here. That's what those little dots are right there. Once you set them up, you can switch between the profiles and whatever how many lights, whatever light lit up, that's profile you'll be under. I'm not going to show you exactly how to do all that. We are going to dive into the app a little bit in this video as well, but we're not going to do a full in-depth video on all that. If you want to see an in-depth video on how to set this controller up, how to use all the special features and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot, to be completely honest with you. But if you want to see like a full breakdown of everything, let me know in the comments below. I'll make that video as well. That way it's a one-stop shop. If you get this controller, you know where to go to find out how to use it. Other than that, you do have the share button here, and the other two buttons, and the Xbox button does work, of course. Moving on. So based on what I found on the controller, there's not a whole lot online about it, but it does come with a 500 milliamp battery, which I would assume for 8 to 10 hours at a time. And it comes with this nice handy dandy dock. I can just place it on when I'm done. I've played with this controller for a week and I haven't had to charge it because when I'm done playing with it, I just set it back on the charger. So take that for what it's worth. I don't think you'll have any issues with it there. Okay, so we're gonna look at the app real quick. We're not gonna spend a whole lot of time here, to be completely honest with you, just because we don't need to. I do like that the app goes full screen. Again, if you wanna see a full video on this and how I set up the controller and everything else, feel free to do that. But again, we're gonna go through real quick. Updates are right here. You can go and update the controller. You can check for an upgrade. Just be aware when you check for the update, it's gonna tell you what you're updated here and what the update to is. You don't need to update if you're already there. So I did that myself. That's why I'm letting you know, so you don't make the same mistake and sit there and wait for it to update for no apparent reason. Right here is your profiles. Again, you come in here, you would click on what you want to do. You can delete them from here, and you click on profile, whatever profile you want to set up, and you come here and you would set your controller up. No, the back buttons and stuff cannot be set up as keyboard functions and stuff like that. Again, this is an Xbox official controller, so this doesn't do a lot of the things you can do with other software and stuff here on the computer, just because they figured people that are going to be buying the Xbox, buying this controller, is going to be for the Xbox itself, not for PC. You do have sticks here as well. As you can see here, they look like they're off by a lot. That's probably because I had moved it. You could test it here. I would go to Xbox, or I could go to gamepad tester to test it itself, which I did. You can move the sticks down to 0 if you want to, which you can do that right there. Triggers right here, you can turn hair triggers on. How you do that is literally just bring this down to 8%. And now when you touch it, it'll be 100%. Test this in gamepad tester. It did work, by the way. Vibration is here. If you like vibration, you get 3, 4 of them in the controller itself, 2 here and then 2 here, and you can use them and stuff. I don't use them personally, but if I do use them, I'm not even gonna say it. Moving on. And then of course, I'm gonna set an update right here. Okay, so we're here on Xbox. As you can see, 8BitDo Ultimate Software X, you click on it, and there is no update. I'm just checking it. It's same exact what I just went over on the PC side. So you can come up here and do everything you would want to do on your controller, set it up for what you want to set it up with and everything else, and then you'll be good to go. So really, that's super simple app. There's not a whole lot to it or anything. It's pretty basic itself. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick test on the controller itself. I've already done a couple of them. I just want you to see what it is real quick. I'll be completely honest with you. It's not 100% great, but it's not bad either. Let me explain. So if you're an Xbox player and you've only played with Xbox controller, you're like, what is this? This is the pulling rate out of the box and what it is going to be like frequency wise from how fast it is to respond to the Xbox itself. If you're an Xbox player and you've never watched a video like this or anything like that, just to give you a quick comparison, a normal Xbox wireless controller is 8 milliseconds. It's 125 hertz. So anything faster than that's going to be great. The reason why I say it's good but not great, in my opinion, is you can see right here, it's saying that it's 200 hertz, which it's better than Xbox. But my problem is you see a lot of 4s. There are some 8s there, which is fine. But then it kind of jumps up every now and then to 11.8. I've seen that happen a couple times through my test here. So there are 11.8 again. There are 11.8. You can see them when I'm going down the thing. So there are some inconsistencies with the dongle with the PC anyways. I'm not going to test it wired just because I'm not playing with this controller wired on my PC or Xbox. I'm buying it for the wireless. It could be better. We'll test it wired just because now I have to know. Okay, I do have it wired. We're going to test it real quick wired, and it looks about the same, to be completely honest with you right now. No, I do not have the 7 or the 11s coming up. It's some 7s, but it's closer to the 250 hertz versus the, so we got 250 hertz there. So this controller is more stable wired than the wireless. So yeah, there is some noticeable differences between wired and wireless. You know, it's better than a Xbox traditional controller, in my opinion, because you're never going to get under that 8 milliseconds. And there are certain times where it does spike up to 11 anyway. So take that for what it's worth. So 200 hertz, it's supposed to be 250, close to 250. That's close to what you're going to get to. So you're between 4 and typically 8 seconds. And then sometimes you get up to 11.8 milliseconds is the highest I've seen it go. 11.89, I think, is the highest I saw it. So take that for what it's worth. Just a quick test there. Let me know in the comments below if you even cared about that test, because I'm looking to find out what I can cut out of these videos. But I would assume something like this is important, especially for people that, well, buy controllers based on deployment. Okay, so when it comes about future upgrades for the controller and stuff, and things that that are not on this controller that they kind of mention, even on like the website, they said 2 pro back buttons. These buttons are just like any, to be completely honest, pretty much GameSir controllers. I mean, they're shaped a little differently, and actually the GameSir controller buttons are a little bit bigger even than these. There's nothing wrong with them or anything like that. They play really well and stuff, but they're just 2. They're not 4. Any kind of pro style controller, you want 4 back buttons to keep your fingers on the triggers or joysticks longer, and not to use the XYBA buttons to take your thumbs off of them. Which leads me to my second point about the controller. These are membrane buttons. They're not mechanical buttons by any stretch. So, you know, those are okay. And then I really want to see like a trigger stop mechanism on here to turn these into mouse clicky triggers and stuff like that. I know that 8BitDo don't really put controllers out like this, and I'm completely fine with that. You know, people will like this style controller. People will be, you know, to this because, you know, Rare has been putting controllers or putting games out and stuff. This is, you know, Rare has been around since like 85, you know, so this is the 40 years. So it's been around since 85, and it's, you know, they're celebrating this. This is an awesome controller when it comes to those style things and everything else. It just, at the end of the day, personally speaking, if I'm going to be playing with more pro style controllers, this is a great controller to collect. This is a great controller to have, especially like if you're not like this hardcore sweater out there, right, that wants to be the best at everything and wishes they were the best at anything, and they still suck and they blame the controller every time they get killed or something like that, or the hackers, then yeah, I completely get it. But if you're just out there wanting to have fun and play with a controller that's $80 and wireless, that's the biggest thing here. This is a wireless Xbox controller. Then I don't see an issue with this controller at all. It's a comfortable. I have seen some reports of it's a smaller controller for smaller hands. I mean, these are my hands. I mean, I got pretty big hands. I'm 6'2", and you know, this is what it looks like in my hands. I don't feel like it's that small, maybe a tad, because these don't come out and curve a little bit. It would come out a little bit further like the Xbox controllers, but you know, this is an Xbox controller to the 8BitDo controller. You can see how the sticks are, maybe the palm hit grips are a little bit longer there. But for me, yeah, I completely understand, you know, if you want a more of a bigger controller. But I like the controller itself personally. I think it's a good controller for $80. So what I'm really thinking about doing is, because this is a wireless controller that doesn't have a whole lot of pro features on it, but it is a good controller for people that are normal like players. Thinking about creating another video with this versus this. You have the wired pro like controller versus the wireless more casual like controller. Do we want to see a video on that? They're, I mean, right around the same price point. Anything I talk about in the video, of course, you can find links below for. Appreciate any support there, of course. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, peace and love.